There is a lot of things happening this weekend. First of all, Trump took to the TV to address the Democrats' concerns on the border wall and border security government shutdown issue. The March for Life in Washington, D.C. didn't actually happen. That is, if you believe the media. Instead, they turned their focus on a bunch of Catholic high school kids wearing MAGA hats, and they accused them of being racist in front of the entire country. A story that has been proven to be false. And they have egg all over their face, but it's just really interesting the way it went down and how everyone was jumping to criticize these poor kids. That and a whole lot more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
And God bless the United States of America.
Okay, I'd like to welcome you to the show. And like I said, we've got a lot to go over, but first, I've got this sticky note from my kids, and they're reminding me to plug the show. We've launched now over 2 weeks, and in those 2 weeks, it's grown just more than I could imagine. And I want to thank you. I want to encourage you to subscribe, and also check us out on social media. We've got all the sites. I post information on racing, on politics, just daily doings of what's going on in my life. And I really appreciate you guys for checking out the show. The last episode, we didn't run a Google ad or anything like that because they disapproved the ad for some reason. But it was all just word of mouth. And so I appreciate it. Please subscribe. Please leave your comments. And I'll try and jump in there and add my thoughts as well. So, all right, let's get on with the show. First, we had President Trump. He put down a proposal to the Democrats. He went on TV on Saturday, and here's a little bit of what he had to say.
The beauty and majesty of citizenship is that it draws no distinctions of race or class or faith or gender or background. All Americans, whether first generation or 10th generation, are bound together in love and loyalty, friendship and affection. We are all equal. We are one team. And one people proudly saluting one great American flag.
All right, let's just stop there for a second because whoever's writing Trump's comments and his speeches, they need a raise because there's so many people in this country that not only look at the substance, but they look at how it's presented. And in this case, he presented it in a way that seemed very presidential, in a way that seemed like he cares sincerely about what's going on and ways to solve this crisis. Here are some of the points he laid out in his plan. $800 million in humanitarian assistance, $805 million for drug detection technologies to help secure ports of entry, addition of 2,750 border agents and law enforcement professionals, 75 new immigration judge teams to address the backlog of cases, a plan for Central American minors to apply for asylum while in their home countries, and reform the process for family reunification of unaccompanied minors, and $5.7 billion for strategic deployment of physical barriers, which is the wall. So these are all issues that Democrats have supported in the past that have been on other legislation, and he kind of is summarizing that for the American people, that the plan doesn't just involve the wall. It involves a lot of other measures. But then he went a step further and added these two elements. He said he would propose legislation that had a 3-year legislative relief for 700,000 DACA recipients. Those are the dreamers. And a 3-year extension on temporary protected status that affects another 300,000 people. So there's his move this weekend, giving something to the Democrats that they wanted. Now, most people responded positively. Legislators Mitch McConnell, Kevin McCarthy, Lindsey Graham, they all kind of praised this move. Even Mitt Romney thought it was okay. There were some that blasted him. Ann Coulter had this tweet. I'll put that up there. She said, Trump proposes amnesty. We voted for Trump and we got Jeb. All right, in my opinion, that's totally off base. What Trump did was put the Democrats in a very bad situation. It's brilliant politics. So far as the American people should know, and if they don't, please tell your friends, that everything he's proposing are things that they've wanted in the past. That's number one. The second is now he's giving new concessions. It's just temporary measures because the number one priority is to get the border secured. We can address what's going on inside the country, but if we allow more and more people to come in without stopping that, it doesn't solve any problems, or it generates future problems. Just as Reagan allowed amnesty back in 1986 under the promises that we'd secure the border, we didn't, and now we have millions and millions more to deal with. Secure the border. We have temporary relief, 3-year relief for TPS and Dreamers, and now the Democrats have to vote against that. He's going to have legislation brought up in the Senate, and they are going to have to go on record saying, no, we don't want an extension for Dreamers, even though that's what they promised time and time again. So Trump really gets credit for this. It was a brilliant move, great politics, and it forces the Democrats to vote down legislation that includes key pieces that they've campaigned on in the past. Just a brilliant, brilliant move by him. Now, we move to this weekend's activities in D.C. There were a number of marches, in particular the Women's March, that left-wing crazy get-together that's been going on for a couple years, and the March for Life. And the contrast in the media between the two was absolutely astounding. I was checking the websites. There was so much publicity for the Women's March, and yet the crowd size, you can't get real estimates on how many turned out. The only thing you can really find is that it's lower than in previous years. There's some pictures, close-up pictures of crowds, but nothing that really shows the extent of how that march went down. As on the flip side, there was hardly any coverage at all of the annual March for Life. And here is a video presented by Students for Life that shows a time lapse of the march. Just check this out. Over and over, people just row after row after row, marching and marching and marching. And I'm only showing you 30 seconds of this. The whole clip was a minute from start to finish time lapse, and the end result was hundreds of thousands of people turning out to support human life. And it's an issue that is growing. It's actually becoming more popular with the millennials, and it's an issue that we have to stand strong on. And the media, they act like the classic, if a tree falls in the woods and no one's around to hear it, does it make a sound? For them, if a march gathers 200,000 people, but we don't report it, did it ever happen? According to them, it didn't. But we all know the significance of this march and the power of people coming together to make a difference. So I plan to go to it next year, actually, and it's just an amazing event to listen to these people talk and to stand up for something so precious as innocent human life. But the media had other priorities. Instead, they went after a group of kids who had attended the march, and now they're working their way back to the Lincoln Memorial to wait for their buses. And the media portrays this incident. You've probably seen the videos with the Native American banging a drum in the face of a high school student, and it was totally spun out of proportion. And luckily, there's a nearly 2-hour-long video out there on the internet, which I watched from start to finish, which shows how this really went down. Now, I want to put a picture up on the screen because these were the main instigators. It's a group called the Black Hebrew Israelites. And even before the Native Americans with the drums showed up, these guys were on the attack. And here's just a little clip, and I apologize for the language.
You got all these dirty ass crackers behind you with a red Make America Great hat again on, and your coon ass, you want to fight your brothers. You got all these racist bastards with red, you nigga, with all these crackers with racist ass Make America Great hats on.
So this was going on and on. He targeted that group of students. Later on, they're gathered in a group on the steps by the Lincoln Memorial, not moving, not approaching any other people. And these guys kept heckling them and kept heckling them. And finally, the students decided to do some school chants on their own to kind of drown out these guys. And after that was going on for a while, then a few of these Native Americans who were attending a different rally earlier walked up, approached the students, got in the one guy's face and just kept banging the drum. And CNN covered it, NBC covered it, saying that many are talking about these racist remarks or these racist actions by the kids. All right, take a look at this headline from CNN as they show their take on the situation before they even had any background, any actual investigation into this story. Finally, yesterday afternoon, Nick Sandmann, the kid who was confronted by the Native American drum beater, interviewed with his local station and with Fox News. And here's what he had to say in the Fox News report. Take a look at this. At that point, Phillips, the Native American banging the drum, Nathan Phillips, came forward toward the group with his drum and, according to Sandmann, locked eyes with me and approached me, coming within inches of my face, and played his drum the entire time he was in my face. Sandmann said he was trying to defuse the tense situation by remaining motionless and calm. He also denied taunting Phillips by making faces at him, but said he smiled at the protester because I wanted him to know that I wasn't going to become angry, intimidated, or be provoked into larger confrontation. Here's what Sandmann added to Fox News a little bit later in the interview. I'm being called every name in the book, including a racist, and I will not stand for this mob-like character assassination of my family's name. One person threatened to harm me at school. One person claims to live in my neighborhood. My parents are receiving death threats and professional threats because of the social media mob that has formed over this issue. Folks, this is absolutely insane. Conservatives came out against these kids. The Diocese of Covington, Kentucky, came out against them, saying they were going to investigate up to and including expulsion before they even knew the whole story. Of course, Democrats jumped on board, media jumped on board, and it turned out to be 100% false, and it was instigated by this group that had been protesting there for hours and hours. And it just shows that we need to get the full story. We need to get things straight before we can rush. We should never rush to judgment, but at least have informed opinions before you'd rush to judgment. It's absolutely insane the way the media spun this. And that was their take. That was their whole takeaway for the March for Life this weekend, is to focus on these kids in Make America Great Again hats who attended the rally rather than focusing on the rally themselves. Let's stick to what's important. That rally was tremendous. It was outstanding. And these poor kids did not deserve to be thrown into the ringer, which happened from the national media. It's just terrible situation. And hopefully we'll see some retractions today and better reporting in the future. All right, that's it. We're out of time today. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.